Hello, namaskaram, namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs. Before I begin with today's class, I would like to inform you that today is the last day to take advantage of the Raksha Bandhan discount. We are ending our sale today, and make sure you use the code PD Live for various batches that you are enrolling in. But the P2I batch that we launched from 23rd of August, the evening live batch, today is the last day to take admission in that. So make sure that you use the code PD Live for either English or Hindi, whatever batches you are enrolling in. When you use this code PD Live, there will be an additional discount. So what the course is 70,000, it will become 27,999. Last date 31st of August. Now let's begin with our class. These are the various things that we have to cover today. Also, do not worry about making notes because I provide the notes through my Telegram channel that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any queries regarding this examination, you can talk to me through my Instagram as well. Now let's begin with the practice question. Whoever has answered it correctly, their names will be taken by the end of this class. Alright. So who among the following is the first woman to be India's head of mission in Pakistan? Geetika Srivastava, Sneha Dubey, Ruchira Kamboj, Sita Nambi. The correct answer to this question is option A. Geetika Srivastava. She is a 2005 batch Indian Foreign Service officer, and she will become the first woman charged the affairs of Indian mission in Islamabad, Pakistan. Right now, she is employed as the Joint Secretary at the headquarters of the Ministry of External Affairs. Soon, you will also see your names like these because you are a hardworking student. When you will clarify UPSC prelims, mains, interviews one day with everything in place, you will also see your names like this. I will pray for you. Alright, she will be succeeding Suresh Kumar, and the Indian and Pakistan missions in the capital cities of Islamabad and New Delhi have been without high commissioners since August 2019. After the abrogation of Article 370, India and Pakistan's relations have nosedived since the last many years. We are watching this. So it is an effort to reinstate the relationship because we cannot be in constant conflict with our neighbors. Although we also would like to Pakistan take the initiative, until and unless there is a democracy, it's really hard. Consider the following statements. The Karakash River lies to the east of the Galwan River. The Amtogor Lake is to the north of the Pangong Tso Lake. The Galwan River lies to the west of the 1960 Chinese claim line. So, how many of the statements given above is or are correct? Why is this question asked? Because recently, a standard map in quote unquote has been released by the Chinese government. And India has lodged a strong protest against it. Why? Because it consists of various parts of India, such as the Aksai Chin area, Arunachal Pradesh, Taiwan has also been included in that, of course, not as a part of India, but the South China Sea whole and whole. It is consisting a depiction of many disputed regions as a part of China. And this is unilateral. And this comes after the 15th BRICS summit, when India and China, who were being represented at the highest levels by the Prime Minister and the President from China and Prime Minister from India. After that also, we are seeing that this is another offense from the Chinese, and this is not sitting well with India. So we will talk about the Aksai Chin. Alright, so this is Aksai Chin that I am going to show you with the help of this map. And the Aksai Chin is even larger than Bhutan. It's a little smaller than Switzerland. As you can see, this is a flat land. This is a desert. It is believed that the word Aksai Chin was propounded by, it's of Turkish origin, and it was propounded by Muhammad Amin. But we do not have official records of that, so it is believed. That is why I'm saying it is believed. And as you can see, it is actually having certain important lakes and rivers that we have to know about. It is an integral part of India, has been and will remain so. So Aksai Chin, as you can see, the Karakash River is one of its major sources, and the Karakash River lies to the east of the Galwan River. All the time, the Chinese claim line has been fluctuating because we do not have a proper map for this. We do not have a proper agreement for this. India says that the LAC is actually 3,488 kilometers long, but China says that it is just 2,000 kilometers long. And it also says that we are never going to abide by the McMahon line because China wasn't consulted properly, which is of course untrue. So Chinese claim line, if we talk about the earlier claim line, well, let's talk about the 1956 claim line. This is the 1956 claim line of China. I hope you're able to see it. For the 1960 claim line, I'm going to change the color so that it is much visible. The 1960 claim line lies here. So there is a difference of claim line, and that is why this is a point of contention. Aksai Chin is a point of contention because the McCartney-McDonald line was proposed line, the important line, and after which, we understood it, Aksai Chin to be a part of India, was the McCartney-McDonald line, which was proposed by the British in the 1890s. So this is the actual India that I am talking about. The Chinese claim line always fluctuates. Okay, so Karakash River lies over here, Amtogor Lake lies over here, and here is the Pangong Tso Lake, which is the high altitude Andorake Lake. So Amtogor Lake is over here, which lies to the north of the Pangong Tso Lake. So let's see if one of our statements is like that. Amtogor Lake is to the north of. Second is correct. Karakash River lies to the east of the Galwan River. That also we have talked about. Here is the Karakash River, which is to the east of the Galwan River. So first statement is correct, and so is the second statement. The Galwan River lies to the west of the 1960 Chinese claim line. This could be a really tricky question, but you have to ensure that you revised it. That is why I am going to show you. That is why I have showed you the important claim lines, which have been fluctuating. So Galwan River lies to the west of the 1960 claim line. Let's see that. Here is the Galwan River. Here. And where is the 1960 claim line? This is the 1960 claim line. But the Galwan River lies to the east of the 1960 claim line of the Chinese. So that's of course going to make the third statement to be incorrect because it is to the east of the 1960 claim line. So first is correct, second is correct, third is not correct. 1, 2. 2 only will be the correct answer. I have already introduced you most of the things over here. See, the Chinese always try to have their own narrative, and they cite that when in medieval times the Chinese kingdom used to have their empire, Aksai Chin was a part of that. And right now the sanctity of the boundaries of and the integrity of nations is not the same as back then. But the Chinese government refuses to accept it. Ramchandra Guha, in his book India After Gandhi, has said that until the 1920s, they never showed any part of Aksai Chin to be a part of China or the Chinese dynasty. But it changed. It changed because of certain drawbacks that India did for Aksai Chin because it was a flat land. So it was ignored for a long period of time. Not a lot of infrastructure development could take place. And the Chinese, they tightened their grip because of this. Okay. So it's a cold desert and a flat land. It doesn't receive rain or snow. It's mostly uninhabited. Water sources include Karakash River and certain brackish lakes. Kashmir along with Ladakh came under the British rule in 1846. And the government of India inherited the territories accordingly. And as we know, India as a nation became a nation only after the advent of the British. Back then, it was a huge territory and it was diverse in nature. It is still diverse in nature. But the concept of modern nation only could come because of the British. And China did not object to Ladakh or Aksai Chin being a part of India until a couple of years after the 1950. Ramchandra Guha, in his book India After Gandhi, said that there is no official Chinese map that shows Aksai Chin was a part of China in the 1920s. But a Xinjiang map of the 1930s says that the Kunlun will be the boundary rather than the Karakoram. Here are the Kunlun. This will be the boundary, and this has been the Indian narrative and Indian acceptance since time immemorial. But the Chinese now say now this is Karakoram. Okay. The Fate of Tibet, which was written by a French author, Claude Arpi, he says that Chinese policy on Aksai Chin shifted in 1952, and the government has to do something about it. That means infrastructural development. China also doesn't want to sit diplomatically to talk about it. This is the status of China. Now Xi Jinping is not coming to India to attend the summit G20. It is trying to square on India with Russia. But Russia has their own reasons. Russia has its own reasons. China is trying to show that big powers are not coming to India. This is undermining the influence of India, that India doesn't have a good relationship with either Pakistan and China. Also, this is called cartographic offense. That means offending a country with the help of maps. So remember, these kind of terms could be, useful for your mains examination as well. I always tell you that not only for the prelims examination, but also for the mains examination, it is important that you attend these classes on a daily basis. Now let's talk about the Toshakhana controversy, which was recently seen in the news. It is related to Ukraine, Turkey, Pakistan, Niger. Toshakhana, it was established in 1974. And Toshakhana is a kind of official department to which any cabinet official has to tell that these gifts have been received by me in my official capacity, and this is the report that I have to give to Toshakhana. Okay, but Imran Khan, the former prime minister, never gave any sort of report to it. There was certain illegal sale of gifts that he received from the other countries because of his official capacity. Now Imran Khan said that I shouldn't be giving this information to Toshakhana because it will impact the relationship that Pakistan has with these countries, which is of course absurd. So the correct answer will be option C. The Islamabad High Court suspended former Pakistan Prime Minister's 3-year sentence in the Toshakhana corruption case. Of course, he will remain in judicial remand right now. The Toshakhana controversy came to the forefront in August 2022 when the coalition government, which was led by Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, filed a case against Imran, saying that he did not disclose what kind of gifts he received from other countries when he was visiting in official capacity and what are the proceeds from the illegal sale of these gifts. 1974, Toshakhana is a department under the administrative control of the Cabinet Division. Its work is to store gifts and other expensive items which are received by public official, and it is being said that a graph which was gifted to him by gifted to former Prime Minister Imran Khan by Saudi Arabian Crown Prince, Rolex watches, expensive cufflinks, a valuable pen and a ring, all these are actually the bone of contention. That is why this controversy is taking a lot of steam. Consider the following statements with respect to the formula for LPG price calculation. It is based on the formula known as import parity price. The formula of LPG cylinders is revised on a quarterly basis, and the price fluctuation of crude oil also affects the international price of LPG. So what do we have to see? How many of the statements given above is or are correct? Recently, the central government has decided to cut rupees 200 on gas cylinders, and this is going to benefit crores and crores of people in addition to the people who were already getting subsidized LPG under the Ujjwala scheme. So first, it is based on the formula known as import price parity price. Yes, this is correct. The country which is exporting, what should be the export price of it? That is also one of the factors that are taken into account. So import price parity is one. Second, the formula of LPG cylinder is revised on a monthly basis, not quarterly. So first is correct, second is not correct. The price fluctuation of crude oil also affects it. Yes, energy affects other energy. So first and third are correct. Second is not correct. Okay, so first and third, two only will be the correct answer. The center has reduced the price of domestic cooking gas by rupees 200 per cylinder, and this is going to impact positively 33 crore domestic consumers of liquefied petroleum gas. Also, Ujjwala scheme is already in work. So those who are the beneficiaries under the Ujjwala scheme, that is about 10 crore people, they will also be impacted positively because they were already getting subsidized LPGs. Now, in addition to that, that means there will be a total relief of rupees 400 per cylinder to them. Of course, this is one of the populist measures, but also other forms of things. First of all, to control the inflation, and secondly, the energy prices with respect to LPG have come down internationally. So that is why. Okay, Indian Oil Corporation, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, these are the ones which deal in LPG. So it is being said that yes, the government, of course, there has not been any official statement that whatever losses they are going to incur, will the government compensate or not, but the government does compensate for scheme, subsidized scheme. So last year the government had provided a one-time grant of rupees 22,000 crores to the three fuel retailers, and it is said that they are going to do it for them as well now time as well. The National Sample Survey Office report says that LPG is the primary source of energy for nearly 50% of the rural population and 90% of the urban population. Of course, many people are going to be impacted by it. So it is based on certain formula how we calculate the LPG. First is the import. This formula is known as the import price parity. The calculations are done per IPP. It is dependent on the international market. What is the price of the LPG internationally? India uses this as the most of the consumption is through import. Why do we use it? Because we import a lot of it. So the formula for it is also revised on a monthly basis when energy prices are revised. So IPP calculation is done through Saudi Aramco's LPG price. It is the world's largest producer. And if we talk about the free onboard price, this is also included in it. Ocean freight, what money is being paid for ocean transport, custom duty when you import something, port charges and insurance costs, these are all added, and the price fluctuation of crude oil also affects the price of LPG. Inland prices, that means once it comes into India, what are included? Freight cost, the transport cost, oil companies margin, what profit do they want to make, bottling cost, what is the cost of storing it, market expenses, if I'm marketing anything, that expenses will also be included, dealer commission, goods and service tax, everything is included, and the final price thus calculated gives the retail selling price for non-subsidized cooking gas cylinders. For subsidized, it is of course subsidized. Moving on, consider the following statements. The Constitution of India defines its basic structure in terms of federalism, secularism, fundamental rights and democracy. The basic structure theory was first introduced by Justice Mudholkar in the Sajjan Singh case. So, which of the statements given above is or are correct? The basic structure was, although established properly in the Kesavananda Bharati case, that is definitely correct. But it has its origin in the Sajjan Singh case and it was introduced by Justice Mudholkar. Very few people know this. So, second is definitely correct. The Constitution has not at all mentioned what is the basic structure. The basic structure has evolved through judicial pronouncements, which include certain things. The Supreme Court said that although Parliament can make laws on certain fundamental rights, but they cannot take away the basic structure of the Constitution, which can be inferred from reading the Constitution, such as secularism, federalism, rule of law, judicial review, supremacy of the Constitution. So these are the unsaid things but inferred things. Constitution has not provided it. It is nowhere written that basic structure will consist of these many things in the Constitution. So first is incorrect, second is correct, two only will be the correct answer. Okay, the concept of it was established in the Kesavananda Bharati case when a constitutional bench of 13 judges gave a verdict of 7:6, saying that Parliament could amend any part of the Constitution so long as it does not interfere with the basic structure. However, the court didn't define what is basic structure, only listed a few principles such as federalism, secularism, democracy. If any amendment will hamper these many things in addition to other things such as rule of law, independence of judiciary, doctrine of separation of powers, these are already given under certain articles. So under those articles, if they are not respected enough, then the Constitution's basic structure will be, taken away. So that the government cannot do. The parliamentary system of government, sovereign democratic republic, welfare state, principle of free and fair election, these are all a part of the basic structure, which was first introduced in the Sajjan Singh case of 1965 by Justice Mudholkar. This was by referring to a 1963 decision of the Supreme Court of Pakistan when the Justice Cornelius of Pakistan said that the President of Pakistan could not alter the fundamental features of their constitution. Alright, so remember this. This could be asked in our paper. Consider the following statements. Statement 1 says sulfur is considered a decent absorber of contaminants and it could be used to protect the moon's water ice from contamination. It is believed that the water ice is covered by the lunar regolith, which is the loose lunar soil, and sulfur can be used to absorb water vapor and extract water ice from the regolith. So what do we have to see? We have to choose the correct answer from the goals. Recently, the LIBS instrument, which is conducting the in situ experiments on the lunar surface through Pragyan rover, has sent a communication that it has gotten the traces of the presence of sulfur on the south pole of the moon. Now, this has a relationship with water, with volcanic activity, with many other things. We will go through them one by one, but let's understand these two statements. See, sulfur is a decent absorber of contaminants, which can be a reason that sulfur is present because it wants to protect the water ice that is stored. And this water ice may be stored beneath the lunar regolith. Regolith is loose soil, lunar soil, which is covering huge part of the moon. So it is believed that the water ice is covered by the lunar regolith, and sulfur can be used to absorb water, vapor, and extract water ice from the regolith. These two statements are totally correct, and these two statements are correct. Statement 1, because there could be the presence of water, that is why sulfur is also present in order to ensure that it is free of any contaminants. Both the statements are correct. Statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. I hope you are keeping up with the experiments that LIPS is doing. By the end of all the experiments, 14 days, we have to wait. Whatever comes to the fore, we will make a video on that as well. We will make a class on that as well. Whatever in situ experiments, elemental experiments, composition experiments have been done, and what has been the result of it. Okay. So the Chandrayaan 3's rover Pragyan has sent its second observation saying that I have discovered sulfur through LIBS, laser induced breakdowns spectroscopy instrument. It has also found out aluminium, calcium, iron, chromium, titanium on the moon. It's also found traces of manganese, oxygen, silicon, while the search for hydrogen is still going on. Hunt for hydrogen is the biggest hunt right now. Now the presence of sulfur could mean that there can be water ice that is present. Of course, Chandrayaan 1 said that there is definitely water present, but it couldn't make out if it is only present on the poles or all on the surfaces. And sulfur is a volatile element that easily vaporizes and escapes from the atmosphere. Why is it still there? It is being hunted about. It may have been released from the volcanic activity because volcanoes, they do release sulfur. And right now, since many years, decades, centuries, it is said that moon has become calmer. There is an absence of volcanic activity as of yet, as we have discovered. Sulfur could be trapped in water ice. This could also be there, that it is in the water ice. Water ice present near the South Pole region was exposed to lunar radiation, and that is why a bit of it got leaked. Okay, it is considered a decent absorber of contaminants. It could be used to, covering the water ice surface so that it doesn't get contaminated. Okay, remember that. And this is the regolith that we are talking about. Moon surface is covered with regolith, loose soil. Okay, consider the following statements. About 8% of the human DNA does not produce protein. The genetic sequence made available in 2003 from the Human Genome Project contained information from a region of the human genome which is known as euchromatin, and the genome refers to all of the genetic material in an organism, and the human genome is mostly the same in all people. So what do we have to see? How many statements given above is or are correct? When we have to understand first of all the genome. What is a genome? I will talk about that, but you can understand that when it was sequenced partially, majorly partially. 93% of the genome sequencing was done. 8% was left out because earlier it was thought, and still it is known, that 8% of the genome, which is known as heterochromatic, it does not produce any sort of protein. So this is the junk DNA. The first statement is correct. Right now, a project is being undertaken so that 100% of the genome sequencing of humans can be taken, so that we can understand why certain people have resilience to certain disease, what kind of disease occur in this group of people and that group of people. More innovation can be done in genome sequencing. The genetic sequence made available in 2003 contained information from the region of human genome which is known as euchromatin. This is definitely correct. First is correct, second is also correct. A genome does refer to all the genetic material in an organism. Whatever information one has to know can be done through sequencing the genome. And the human genome is mostly the same in all people. Some part of it differs, and that is why the attributes also differ. First, second, third, all three are correct. All three will be the correct answer. For the first time, concerted efforts have been undertaken by the Pune Knowledge Cluster, which is one of the 6 clusters that has been established by the Office of Principal Scientific Advisory, okay, towards genomic sequencing of the dengue virus. Genome is basically, for any human being, any organism, is the information and characteristic of a person. Half is from father, half is from mother. Our genome can decide what kind of diseases can occur in our body, what is our eye color, what is our height. So all this is impacted by it. Genomes are actually made up of DNA, which is an extremely large molecule that looks like a long twisted ladder. And it has 4 types of chemical building blocks, namely adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Okay, so whatever information anybody has to infer for us, it can be done through genome sequencing. In, in a journal, we can call it Science. There has been a publishing of many papers which says that a large team has accounted for that 8%, completing the picture of the human genome for the first time. So remaining 8% was left out because it was called junk DNA, because it did not have any sort of clear function, because it wasn't producing any protein. So it has been done for the first time. A genome refers to all the genetic material in an organism, but which is almost similar in all the human beings. A very small part of the DNA does vary between one individual to another. The genetic sequence, which is made available through the Human Genome Project in 2003, it contained information from a region of the human genome which is known as euchromatin. Chromosome here is rich in genes and the DNA encodes for proteins. And the 8%, it was known as heterochromatin. It is known as, which does not produce protein, and it is also known as junk DNA because it doesn't have a proper function. But the telomere to telomere project is being undertaken so that the entire 100% of the genome sequencing can be done. World Sanskrit Day is a tribute to the author of which of the following? Malvika Mitra? Mitram it should be. Ashtadhyayi, Mahabhashya, Mahabharata. First of all, you have to know who has written these works. Then whose tribute is celebrated actually. The correct answer to this question can be known through that. Mahabhashya is of course a commentary on Ashtadhyayi, which has been authored by Maharishi Patanjali. Mahabharata, no. Malvika Mitra, no. The correct answer will be Panini's Ashtadhyayi. Panini's contribution has been paid a tribute to the World Sanskrit Day. So the correct answer will be B. World Sanskrit Day is also known as International Sanskrit Day, Sanskrit Divas, or Vishwa Samskrita Dinam. It is celebrated or observed on the occasion of Shravan Purnima, which coincides with full moon. For this year, it is 31st of August, that is today. World Sanskrit Day is observed with the aim of promoting Sanskrit, recognized as the world's oldest language. Okay, and it is also known as the language of the gods. And additionally, it serves as a tribute to the birth anniversary of Panini, who was a distinguished Sanskrit scholar and a grammarian. He probably lived, it is believed that he lived in the 4th century. He was he was a resident of Salatura, which is Gandhara, which is now in the northwest Pakistan. Ashtadhyayi is 8 chapters. It is an ancient text which has been written by him by the end of the 4th century BCE, and it is a linguistic text that sets the standard on how should Sanskrit be written and spoken. There are rules for every grammar, and the Ashtadhyayi has laid down more than 4,000 grammatical rules. After that, we have a very important Mahabhashya of Rishi Patanjali, 2nd century BC, Kasika Vritti of Jayaditya Vamana, 7th century AD. These were the mostly important commentaries on Panini's work. Okay. Recently, China's Baidu has launched ChatGPT rival for domestic use. It is called Xiangbot, Holubot, Regelbot, Erniebot. You have to answer it correctly in the comment segment. Let me take the names of those students who have answered the last question correctly. Okay. So many of you have answered the last question correctly. Ria, Simran, Vinayak, Sukanya, Mandeep, Harshit, Nikhil, Malesh, Sanjeev, Malinath. How to get my monthly compilation? Join the Telegram channel. A link will be provided. Komal, Mahima, Prabhat, then Arun, Siddharth, Omkar, Rishabh, Daydream, Uttam, Abhishek, Nand, Mr. Tiwari, Mukul, Manish, then Utkal, Muhammad, then I cannot pronounce this name, sorry, Mansi, my mobile phone. Please write your names as well so that I can take your names and not use the names. Ritu, Priyadarshan. Okay, so answer this question as well so that I can take your name in the upcoming segment. Okay, thank you so much for watching.